When my own daughter told me I wasn't welcome at her Christmas dinner, I just smiled, walked out, and made a phone call. Within 2 weeks, I was hosting 20 people in a mansion that rented for more than her annual salary, and that was just the beginning of my revenge. You won't believe what happened after I found out the truth about why Sarah didn't want me there. It wasn't about space. It wasn't about planning. It was about her being ashamed of me in front of her rich in-laws. Ashamed of the man who paid for her college, who financed her wedding, who put a down payment on the apartment she lives in today. I'm Robert Miller, 58 years old, owner of a construction company that I built from scratch. I started by carrying bricks, and today I have 40 employees. I'm not a millionaire, but I live well. Well enough to have given my daughter everything she needed in life. Well enough that she never went without anything. But apparently, it wasn't quite enough for her not to be ashamed of me. The conversation took place on a Monday in December, in the apartment for which I paid the down payment. Sarah was in the kitchen stirring a pot when I asked about the details of the Christmas dinner. What time? Should I bring anything? How many people would be there? That's when she stopped fidgeting, sighed, and said, "Dad, about Christmas. It's going to be a more intimate affair this year. Just me, Marcus, and his parents." Intimate. After 25 years of celebrating Christmas together, it suddenly became too intimate to include her own father. "Sarah, I don't understand. Since when is Christmas too intimate for your father?" She couldn't even look me in the eye. "It's just that Marcus's parents have a different way of doing things. They're more formal, and I don't want it to be awkward." Formal, in other words, rich. And I was the awkwardness that could spoil their refined atmosphere. That's when I realized that love has an expiration date, and mine had expired the moment she found a family she thought was better than ours. Before I tell you how this revenge unfolded, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any family justice stories. And if you've been through something similar, leave a like so I know you understand the pain of being undervalued by the person you love most. Now come with me to see how I transformed this humiliation into the best lesson my daughter has ever received. I stood there in her kitchen, staring at this 25-year-old woman I'd raised alone since she was 3, when her mother abandoned us. Staring at someone I thought I knew. "Strange, isn't it, Sarah?" She sighed again, as if I were a stubborn child asking a silly question. "Dad, you know how you are. You talk loudly, tell those jokes that aren't funny, and, well, the Petersons are different people. The Petersons, Thomas and Margaret Peterson. He's a doctor, she's a university professor. They live in a $1 million house and spend their holidays in Europe. And now I was the problem that needed to be hidden from them. Different people like, daughter. They are cultured, Dad. They talk about art, literature, politics. They expect a certain level of... Regarding education? Silence. A silence that said it all. Sarah, I built a company from scratch. I raised you all by myself. I paid for your business school, which cost $80,000. I paid for your wedding, which cost $45,000. I put down $50,000 on your apartment. But I'm not good enough to sit at the table with your in-laws? It's not about money, Dad. No? Then what is it about? She finally looked at me, and what I saw in her eyes broke my heart. Shame. Shame on me. It's about you not understanding certain things. About you wearing your team's jersey during a serious conversation. About you speaking with a country accent when you're nervous. About you not knowing the difference between a $20 wine and a $200 one. Every word was like a stab in the back. 25 years of being the hero in this girl's life. And now I was the embarrassment that had to stay home at Christmas. What if I promised to stay quiet? What if I wore clothes that you chose? Dad, please. Don't make this harder than it already is. It was at that moment that I understood. She didn't want to educate me. She didn't want to include me. She wanted to hide me. The worst part wasn't the rejection. The worst part was realizing that my daughter had learned to be ashamed of where she came from. I left her apartment and drove home on autopilot. When I arrived, I went straight to my office and opened the drawer where I kept all the important papers. It was time to do the accounts. Sarah's college tuition, $80,000. I paid $2,000 a month for 4 years while she found herself studying business administration at a private university that cost an arm and a leg. Wedding, $45,000. She wanted something elegant at the country club. I used up my savings because every father wants to give his daughter the best for her wedding. Apartment, $50,000 down payment. Dad, it's an investment, she said. You'll get a return. Return for whom, Sarah? I don't live there. Car, $35,000. Mine is giving me problems, and Marcus and I need something reliable. Reliable cost a Honda. She wanted a BMW, furniture, $15,000. We can't live in an empty apartment. Of course not. You had to have an Italian leather sofa and an oak dining table. Emergencies, $23,000. Dad, the air conditioner broke. Dad, Marcus is unemployed. Dad, we need help with the bills this month. Total, $248,000, $250,000, more than the value of my own house. And now I was discovering that all of this had bought her the right to be ashamed of me. Every check I signed, every transfer I made, every time I said, "Sure, honey, I'll help you." All of that just to get to the point where she told me I wasn't good enough to sit at her table at Christmas. I looked at her picture on my desk. Sarah at 5 years old, smiling with her missing front tooth, hugging me after the school softball game. Back then, I was her hero. I was the dad who fixed everything, who protected her from everything, who made her feel safe. When did I become the embarrassment that needed to be hidden? When did $248,000 become insufficient to buy a place at my own daughter's table? That's when I understood. Respect can't be bought. And I had spent years trying to buy something that wasn't for sale. On Wednesday, I received a phone call that changed everything. It was Jessica, Sarah's best friend since high school. Mr. Miller? It's Jessica. I need to tell you something about Christmas. Jessica always respected me. She always called me Mr. Miller. She was always polite. Unlike my daughter, she remembered where she came from. What happened, Jessica? I was at Sarah's apartment yesterday, and Margaret Peterson was there. I overheard a conversation that, well, I think you should know. My stomach churned. Speak. Mrs. Peterson said it would be uncomfortable to have you there because you're very blue-collar. She said you wouldn't understand their cultural references and that you'd feel out of place. Blue-collar. As if working with your hands were a contagious disease. And what did Sarah say? Silence. A silence that was far too long. Jessica. She agreed, Mr. Miller. She said you'd be more comfortable with your own kind of people. My own kind of people. As if I were a different species of human being. And there's more. Thomas Peterson said he didn't want talk about sports and beer spoiling their intellectual environment. I hung up the phone and sat in my armchair, trying to process what I had just heard. It wasn't just about formality. It was about class prejudice. It was about them thinking I was inferior for working in construction instead of wearing a suit every day. My daughter not only agreed with that, she defended their view of me. The girl I raised to be better than that, to judge people by their character and not their profession, had become exactly the type of person I used to despise. And the worst part, she was willing to humiliate me to fit into their little world. That's when I understood that this wasn't about Christmas. It was about her choosing between the family that raised her and the family she thought was more important. She made her choice. Now, it was my turn to make mine. I spent the whole night awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about 25 years of sacrifice. 25 years of being both father and mother. 25 years of putting her first in everything. In the morning, I woke up a different person. I was no longer the desperate father seeking approval. I was Robert Miller, who had built a business from scratch, who knew how to solve problems, who understood that respect is earned, not begged for. Sarah wanted to hide me from the Petersons. Perfect. She was going to find out what it really meant to be without her father. First call. To my accountant. Tom, it's Robert. I need a complete accounting of all the payments I've made for my daughter over the last 5 years. Everything. College, wedding, apartment, car, furniture, emergencies. Everything documented. Robert, is everything all right? That's great, Tom. Better than ever. Second call. To my lawyer. Mike, I need to know my rights regarding some money I lent. If I didn't formalize it as a loan, can I still try to get it back? It depends on the situation, Robert. Tell me what happened. Third call. To a mansion rental company. Do you have any property available for December 24th? Something large, elegant, that can accommodate 20 people for a formal dinner? We have several options, sir. Robert Miller, and money is no problem. If Sarah wanted elegance, she was going to get elegance. If she wanted a refined atmosphere, she was going to get a refined atmosphere. If she thought I didn't understand class, she was going to discover that money buys a lot of class when you know how to spend it. But it wasn't going to be at her table. It was going to be at my table, at my party, with people who respected me. War had been declared, and I had ammunition she couldn't even imagine. 2 days after our conversation about Christmas, Sarah called me. Her tone was the same as always, as if I were an employee she could call on whenever she needed me. Dad, I need a favor. Please. After excluding me from Christmas, she still had the nerve to ask for a favor. What favor, Sarah? Marcus is having car trouble, and we need to pick up his parents from the airport on Friday. Could you lend us your pickup truck? My pickup truck. The same pickup truck she used to say was awkward when I picked her up from college. The same pickup truck that was now useful when they needed it. Why don't you rent a car? Oh, Dad, why waste money? Yours is just sitting there anyway. Wasting money frivolously, as if my money were less important than hers. What if I say no? She laughed. She laughed as if the idea of me refusing something was absurd. Dad, you never say no. You always help when we need it. It always helps. Like a well-trained dog that comes when called. Sarah, let me ask you a question. If I'm so embarrassing, why do you want my car to pick up the Petersons? What kind of question is that? One thing has nothing to do with the other. Yes, you are. You're ashamed of me, but you're not ashamed to use my things. Dad, you're being dramatic. It's just a car. And Christmas is just a feast. But apparently some things are too important to include the father who paid for everything. There was silence on the other end. Finally, she was beginning to understand that something had changed. Are you going to lend me the car or not? No. What do you mean, no? No, Sarah. I'm not going to lend you my embarrassing car to pick up people who think I'm inferior to them. Good. And another thing, if you're ashamed of me, then stop using my money too. From today on, you're on your own. I hung up before she could answer. The phone rang 3 more times. I didn't answer. It was time for her to learn that disrespect has consequences. On Saturday, I visited Rosewood Estate, a mansion in Spokane Hills that I rented out for events. When I saw that property, I knew I had found the perfect weapon for my revenge. 15 bedrooms, indoor pool, dining room that could seat 30 people, professional kitchen, panoramic city views, decor that screamed money in every detail. How much does it cost to rent this for December 24th? I asked Diane, the manager. For the 24th? It'll be premium. $15,000 for the day. $15,000, 3 times more than I usually spend on Christmas, but it was going to be worth every penny. And do you provide catering? Sure. What kind of event are you planning? Formal Christmas dinner, 20 people, high-quality food, full service, live music, elegant decor. I want it to be unforgettable. It will be around $25,000 in total. $25,000, almost what I spent on Sarah in an entire year. Perfect. You can book it. While I was signing the contract, My plan was taking shape. I was going to throw a party that would make the Petersons' formal dinner look like a backyard barbecue, and I was going to make sure Sarah knew every detail. On Monday, I started making the calls, first to Jessica. Jessica, I'm organizing a Christmas dinner and I wanted to invite you. It's on the 24th, at a mansion in Spokane Hills. Seriously, Mr. Miller, that's incredible. And you can invite your parents too. And any friend who doesn't have plans for Christmas. Then I called Tom, my accountant, and his family, Mike, my lawyer, my employees who didn't have family in the city, neighbors who have always been respectful to me, 20 people who saw me for who I was, a hard-working, honest man who deserved respect. But the most important call was for the last one. Marcus, that's Robert, Sarah's father. Hi, Mr. Miller. How are you? Hey, Marcus. I'm good. Listen, I'm organizing a really special Christmas dinner, and I was wondering if you and Sarah would like to come. Silence. I don't know, Mr. Miller. We already have plans with my parents. I know, but maybe you'll want to rethink those plans when you find out where I'm having dinner. I spent the next few days strategically spreading details about my Christmas party, not in an obvious way, in a clever way. On Wednesday, I met Jessica at Starbucks. I can't believe you rented the Rosewood estate, she said, loud enough for half the coffee shop to hear. That mansion is incredible. It's a special place for special people, I replied, knowing that Jessica would tell Sarah every single word. On Thursday, I stopped by the wine shop where I knew Margaret Peterson always shopped. I need quality champagne, I told the salesman. Nothing under $200 a bottle. It's for an event at Rosewood Estate. The salesman nearly fainted. Rosewood Estate? Sir, you're organizing something very elegant. Only the best for my Christmas dinner. On Friday, I ran into Marcus by chance at the gas station. Marcus, how are the preparations for dinner with your parents going? Ah, it's going well. It's going to be great. I'm sure of it. Sarah must be thrilled. I know how much she loves special occasions. Strategic pause. Speaking of which, the caterer I hired for my party said he worked at a Peterson wedding last year. Small world, isn't it? I saw curiosity appear in his eyes. Caterer? Yes, Le Bernardin Catering. Do you know them? They specialize in high-end events. A bit pricey, but worth it when you want to impress. How much are you spending? Between renting the mansion, food, drinks, music, about $25,000. But it's only once a year, right? And after everything that happened, I wanted to do something special for the people who really care about me. Marcus swallowed hard. $25,000, more than his annual salary. Mansion rental? Rosewood Estate, you know it? That property in Spokane Hills. It's where the city's elite hold important events. I saw the exact moment he realized. While they were going to have a small dinner at home with his in-laws, I was going to be hosting a party that would be the talk of the town. Mr. Miller, regarding the invitation you extended. Oh, Marcus, sorry. The spots are already filled. But I'm sure dinner with your parents will be intimate. Intimate. The same word Sarah used to exclude me. That night, my phone rang. Sarah. Dad, we need to talk. Sarah showed up at my house Saturday morning with that face of someone who slept badly and woke up even worse. Dad, I heard about your party. What party? Don't pretend you don't know. Jessica told me everything. Rosewood Estate, French catering, $200 champagne. You're spending $25,000 on a Christmas party. I poured myself coffee without offering her any. Is that your problem? Yes, really. You're spending a fortune on a party just to annoy me. Sarah, let me explain something to you. I turned to her. I'm spending my money on a party for people who respect me. If that bothers you, that's your problem, not mine. Dad, you know we're not in a position to compete with that. Compete? Who mentioned competition? You're going to have the intimate and refined dinner you wanted. I'm going to have a party with people who aren't ashamed of me. She sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I helped her with her homework for years. Dad, I think you misunderstood the Christmas situation. I didn't understand how. When I said intimate, I didn't mean you weren't welcome. I meant it would be a small group. Sarah, stop lying. Jessica told me about the conversation you had with Margaret Peterson, about me being too blue-collar and not understanding their cultural references. Her face turned red. She had no right to tell you that. She had every right. Unlike some people, Jessica still remembers what loyalty is. Dad, I didn't say anything out of line. I just agreed that you'd be more comfortable with your own kind of people. My own kind of people. I repeated her words. And what kind of people are those, Sarah? You know what I meant. No, I don't know. Explain to me what kind of person I am. Silence. She couldn't speak because she knew that anything she said would sound exactly like the prejudice it was. Dad, look. If it's so important to you, you can come to dinner. We'll figure something out. Find a way around it? I laughed. Sarah, do you think I'm a problem that needs to be circumvented? It's not that. That's exactly it. You guys make do with me, as if I were a medical emergency or a leak in the ceiling. She started to cry. Dad, I don't want to fight with you. Then stop disrespecting me. I'm not disrespecting you. Sarah, you're ashamed of me. You chose to impress strangers instead of honoring the man who raised you. That's the definition of disrespect. Sarah wiped away her tears and changed tactics. When she couldn't get what she wanted by crying, she always resorted to manipulation. Dad, you can't cancel our family tradition because of a misunderstanding. Family tradition? I leaned forward. Sarah, what tradition is that? The tradition of you tolerating me until I find something better? That's not it. Dad, you've always been my hero. You know that. I was your hero, until you discovered that real heroes wear suits instead of team jerseys. Good. No, let me speak. 25 years, Sarah. 25 years I've put you first in everything. I missed my own birthday to go to your 8th grade graduation. I worked weekends for 2 years to pay for your college. I sold my boat to put a down payment on your apartment. I know, and I am grateful. Grateful? I stood up and picked up the folder I had prepared. You want to see gratitude? I opened the folder and spread the papers on the table. Bank statements, canceled checks, receipts, contracts. College, $80,000. Wedding, $45,000. Apartment, $50,000. Car, $35,000. Emergencies, $38,000. Total, $248,000. Her eyes widened as she saw all the numbers together for the first time. $248,000, Sarah. More than the value of my house. And what was my return? My daughter being ashamed of me. Dad, I never asked you to do these calculations. No? So you think this money appeared out of nowhere? That it was magic? She looked at the papers, then at me. What do you want? I want you to understand what you lost. It wasn't just a father at Christmas dinner. It was the man who made you his priority in life for 25 years. And now? Are you going to cut me out of your life? No, Sarah. I'm not going to do anything. You already did. You chose them over me. Now live with the choice you made. Dad, if you cancel the party and come to our dinner, we'll forget all about this. I gathered the papers and closed the folder. Sarah, you still don't understand. I'm not trying to get back into your circle. I'm creating my own. What does this mean? It means that on Wednesday the 24th you'll be sitting at a table with people who think I'm not good enough. And I'll be in a mansion with people who know exactly what I'm worth. Good. The conversation is over, Sarah. You made your bed. Now lie down in it. On the morning of December 24th, I dressed like I'd never dressed before in my life. A $2,000 Hugo Boss suit, an Italian silk tie, handmade leather shoes. A Rolex watch that I bought myself as a Christmas present. If Sarah thought I lacked class, She was about to find out that class can be bought when you have the money. At 2 in the afternoon, I arrived at Rosewood Estate. The decorating team had transformed the place into a Christmas dream. Golden lights in every corner, a 4-meter tree in the entrance hall, a dining table that looked like it came straight out of a magazine. "Mr. Miller," said Diane, "everything is ready. The caterer arrived an hour ago. The pianist is doing the sound check. It's going to be spectacular." At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the guests began to arrive. Jessica came with her parents, all dressed up for a party. Tom, my accountant, brought his wife and teenage children. Mike, my lawyer, showed up with a girlfriend I'd never met. Everyone who entered was left speechless by the sight of the mansion. "Robert, you've exceeded all expectations," said Tom. "This is out of this world." At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone rang. Sarah. "Dad, where are you?" "Because people are posting photos of your party on Instagram. Is that mansion real?" And, "Dad, that must have cost a fortune." It was difficult. Silence. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I can, and because I deserve to be surrounded by people who appreciate me." "Dad, dinner with the Petersons was a disaster. They spent the whole evening talking about investments and trips to Europe. I felt out of place. Imagine how I would feel." "Dad, are you still at the party?" "I'm still arriving. Dinner won't be served until 7. Can I stop by later?" I looked around the room full of people laughing, talking, having fun. People who respected me. People who weren't ashamed of me. "No, Sarah. How could I not? This party is for people who want me here. You've made it clear that's not the case for you." "Dad, I was wrong. I admit it. To err is to forget to buy milk. What you did was humiliate me by your own choice." Dinner at Rosewood Estate was everything I imagined and more. Dom Perignon champagne, grilled salmon with caviar sauce, lamb with fine herbs, dessert that looked like a work of art. The pianist played Christmas classics while everyone ate and chatted. For 2 hours, I felt the way I deserved to feel: respected, appreciated, celebrated. "Robert," said Dr. Harrison, one of my guests, "this is incredible. You've outdone any party I've ever been to." "This is just the beginning," I replied. "There are more surprises to come." After dessert, I stood up and clinked my champagne glass. "Guys, can I have your attention?" The room fell silent. "I want to thank everyone for being here today. This Christmas could have been very different for me. It could have been lonely, sad, full of heartache. People were staring at me with complete attention. Instead, I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I decided to celebrate the people who truly care about me." Applause echoed through the hall. Everyone here treats me with respect. Everyone here accepts me as I am. Everyone here understands that a man's worth is not measured by the diploma on the wall or the car in the garage, but by the character he possesses. More applause. So this party isn't just a Christmas dinner. It's a celebration of true family. The family we choose. Everyone stood up and applauded. Jessica was crying. Tom had a huge grin on his face. Even the children seemed to understand that something important was happening. At 10 o'clock at night, as the last guests were leaving, Jessica approached. "Mr. Miller, Sarah called me 3 times during the party. She's desperate. And she wants to know if there's still time to fix things." I looked at the empty mansion, at what remained of the most elegant party I've ever thrown. A party where I was the center of attention for all the right reasons. "Jessica, tell Sarah that she's had 25 years to learn to value me. If she hasn't learned by now, the problem isn't time. It's character." On the morning of December 25th, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Photos from the party had spread across social media like wildfire. First call, my brother Dave from Seattle. "Robert, I saw Jessica's photos on Facebook. Man, that party was insane. When did you get rich and not tell me?" "I didn't get rich, Dave. I just stopped spending my money on people who don't appreciate me. What happened to Sarah? Sarah decided I wasn't good enough for her new family. Oh, Robert, I'm so sorry, man. Don't feel bad. Yesterday was the best Christmas of my life. Second connection. Margaret Peterson. Mr. Miller, you are Margaret Peterson, Marcus's mother. Interesting. Oi, Margaret. I wanted to talk about what happened yesterday. What do you have to say? Well, Sarah told me that you had a very elaborate party. Eve. And she said that you spent a considerable amount. I spent it. Silence. Mr. Miller, perhaps we misjudged your financial circumstances. Their financial circumstances. As if money were the only thing that mattered to these people. Margaret, let me explain something to you. I've always had money. I just chose to spend it on my daughter instead of impressing strangers. I see. But now that my daughter has decided I'm an embarrassment, I've gone back to spending money on myself. Mr. Miller, if I said anything that offended you, you said I was too blue-collar to sit at the table with you. You thought I wouldn't understand your refined cultural references. Well, Margaret, let me tell you something about culture. Culture isn't about knowing the difference between French and Italian wine. Culture is about treating people with respect, regardless of their profession. You are right. And about being a blue-collar worker. This simple job allowed me to throw a $25,000 party without even feeling the impact on the budget. How many people in your social circle can do that? Total silence. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other phone calls to answer. It seems like half the city wants to know about my party. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon of the 25th, Sarah appeared at my door. She looked like she had been crying all night. Dad, can we talk? I let her in, but I didn't offer her coffee. I didn't offer her anything. Dad, everyone's talking about your party. And Emily Rodriguez posted 47 photos on Instagram. There are over 300 comments. Everyone wants to know who you are and how you managed to throw a party of that caliber. Legal. Dad, the Petersons are furious. They think you did that to humiliate them. I did that to celebrate with people who respect me. If they felt humiliated, that's a matter of a guilty conscience. Sarah sat on my couch and looked at me with that lost puppy dog face that always worked when she was a child. Dad, I messed everything up, didn't I? What do you think? I think I was a terrible daughter. I think I let some superficial people convince me that you weren't good enough. And I think I lost the best father in the world because of sheer stupidity. She was right. But being right didn't fix what she had broken. Sarah, do you know what part hurt me the most? Which? It wasn't you excluding me from Christmas. It was discovering that you were ashamed of me. Ashamed of the man who raised you, who paid for your education, who always put you first. Dad, I was never ashamed of you. Sarah, stop lying. You said I wouldn't understand the Petersons' cultural references. You said I'd be more comfortable with my own kind of people. You agreed I was too blue-collar for their table. Each word was like a stab in the heart, and I could see she was feeling every single one. I didn't know what I was talking about. Yes, I knew. You knew exactly what you were talking about. You were choosing between defending me and siding with them. And you chose them. Dad, can I try to fix this? Sarah, there are some things that can't be fixed. There are things you can regret, you can apologize for, but you can never undo them. So you'll never forgive me? I looked at my daughter, the woman I raised to be better than this, and felt something I never thought I would feel for her. Pity. Sarah, I've already forgiven you. But forgiveness doesn't mean things will go back to the way they were. Dad, what do I need to do for you to trust me again? It was the first time in years that Sarah had asked the right question. It wasn't about how to fix the situation. It was about how to rebuild the trust she had destroyed. Sarah, let me explain how things are going to be from now on. She straightened up in her chair, paying full attention. First of all, the blank checks are over. If you want something, you work for it. You and Marcus are adults. Time to act like adults. Good. Don't interrupt me. Second, automatic favors are over. If you need something, you ask politely and accept no for an answer. She swallowed hard. Third, you will never again treat me as if I were an embarrassment. If you are ashamed of me, you stay away from me. I don't need the company of anyone who tolerates me. I'm not ashamed of you. Prove. As. Next time someone speaks ill of me, you defend me. Next time someone says I don't fit in somewhere, you say that the place doesn't deserve to have me there. Sarah started crying again. Dad, I promise I'll do it. Sarah, promises are worthless. You promised to love and respect me when I was raising you. You promised that family came first when I was paying your bills. Promises are just empty words. So how do I prove it? With action. With choices. With you showing that you've learned the difference between real family and people you want to impress. I got up and went to the window. Outside, neighbors were enjoying Christmas Day. Real families. Sarah, I'm going to give you one chance to show that you've changed. Just one chance. What do you want me to do? I want you to go to the Petersons and tell them you made the wrong choice. I want you to tell them that your father is an honorable and hard-working man, and that anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be part of your family. What if they get offended? Then you'll discover what really matters to you, my approval or theirs. Dad, if I do that, they might turn Marcus against me. Sarah, if your husband lets his parents influence him against you because you defended your father, then you married the wrong man. She remained silent for about 5 minutes, processing what I had said. Okay, Dad, I'll do it. I don't do it because I want to. I do it because it's the right thing to do. 3 days later, Sarah called me. Dad, I did what you asked. What happened? I arranged a lunch with Margaret and Thomas. I said we needed to talk about you. And I told them that the way they spoke about you was unacceptable. That you are a hard-working and honorable man, and that any family that can't see that doesn't deserve to know you. I was surprised. And what did they say? Margaret was offended. She said that they are respectable people, and that they don't need to justify themselves to anyone. And you? I said that respectable people don't judge others by the work they do. I said that you built a company from scratch and raised a daughter on your own, and that's worth more than any of their diplomas. For the first time in months, I felt proud of my daughter. And there, Thomas turned red. He said I was being disrespectful. He said they only wanted what was best for Marcus and that I was being influenced by you. And what did you say? I told them that if they thought being loyal to my father was a bad influence, then they didn't understand anything about family. And that if Marcus couldn't support me in this, then we had bigger problems in our marriage. I sat down in the chair, impressed. Sarah, that must have been difficult. It was. But you know what was the hardest part? Realizing that I almost lost my father to impress people who are worthless. And Marcus? Marcus supported me. He said he felt uncomfortable with his parents' comments, but didn't know how to react. He apologized for not defending you. And now? Now the Petersons are furious with us. They said it might be best if we take a break from family gatherings. And how do you feel about that? Relieved. Dad, I spent so much time trying to fit into their world that I forgot I already had a family. A family that has always loved me just the way I am. I felt something loosening in my chest, something I didn't know was tense. Sarah, this is just the beginning. It's not automatic forgiveness, I know, but it's a start. And in the following months, Sarah proved that she had truly changed, not with words, but with actions. When Margaret Peterson made a sarcastic comment about my extravagant party at a church meeting, Sarah stood up and said, "My father has the right to spend his money however he wants, especially after years of spending it on me." When Thomas Peterson suggested that I only had money by luck, Sarah replied, "My father has worked for 30 years to build what he has. That's not luck, it's dedication." When a friend of hers made a joke about blue-collar parents who think too highly of themselves, Sarah cut off the friendship immediately. Every time she defended me, I felt like I was getting back the daughter I had raised. In March, she came to ask me for a favor, but this time it was different. Dad, Marcus and I are having financial difficulties. The apartment is too expensive and we can no longer afford it. What do you want to do? We wanted to know if you know of any cheaper apartments in the city. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for advice. Advice. Not money. Not an easy solution. Advice. Have you considered selling the apartment and buying something smaller? We would lose money on the sale. Sarah, sometimes losing money is better than drowning in debt. Do you think we should sell? I think you should live within your own reality, not the fantasy you think you deserve. 6 months later, they sold the apartment and bought a smaller but fully paid-off house. For the first time in her adult life, Sarah was living without debt and without depending on me. In August, she called me just to talk. She wasn't asking for a favor. She didn't need anything. She just wanted to know how I was doing. Dad, how was your day? It was good, daughter. How was yours? It was rushed, but good. Dad. He speaks. Thanks. Why? For not giving up on me. For teaching me that respect is earned. For showing me the difference between real family and people we want to impress. That's when I knew. I had my daughter back. In December of the following year, Sarah approached me with a proposal. Dad, I wanted to spend Christmas at my new house this year. My first instinct was distrust. Sarah. No, Dad. Let me explain. I want to have a Christmas like you taught me. Simple, with real family, with people who care about each other. Who are you thinking of inviting? You, Marcus, Jessica and her family, Tom and his wife, maybe some neighbors we like. Simple people, hard-working people, real people. And food? I'm going to cook, nothing fancy. Turkey, mashed potatoes, apple pie, family food. I smiled. Sarah, do you know how to cook? Not yet, but I have 2 months to learn, and if I mess up, we'll order pizza. Pizza at Christmas. The Petersons were going to have a heart attack. What if the Petersons want to come? They won't want it. Margaret told me that our new house is too modest for their style, and I said she was right. On December 24th, I arrived at Sarah's new house with a $30 bottle of wine and a smile on my face. The house was small, simple, but full of warmth. Sarah greeted me at the door with a tight hug. Dad, welcome to our home. Our home, not the house I paid for, the house they chose and could afford. Dinner was perfect in its imperfections. The turkey was a little dry, the mashed potatoes had some lumps. The apple pie burned a little on the bottom, and it was the best Christmas dinner I've had in years. During dessert, Sarah stood up to make a speech. Guys, I wanted to thank everyone for being here, but especially my dad. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Last year, I almost lost the most important person in my life because I forgot who I was. I forgot that real family isn't about impressing anyone. It's about loving unconditionally and being loved in return. Everyone applauded. Dad, thank you for teaching me that self-respect is more important than the approval of others. And thank you for not giving up on me when I deserved it. I stood up and hugged my daughter. The daughter I raised. The daughter I should never have lost. Sarah, I love you. And I'm proud of the woman you've become. I love you too, Dad. Today, 2 years after that party at the mansion that changed everything, I look back and see that the best thing that happened was Sarah excluding me from Christmas. Without that humiliation, I would never have stopped to assess how I was being treated. I would never have realized that I was being used like a walking stool by people who didn't respect me. Without that $25,000 party, Sarah would never have understood that I had a choice, that I could spend my money on myself, that I didn't need to buy love. Without that confrontation, she would never have learned the difference between real family and people you want to impress. Sarah is a different person today. She works, pays her bills, and lives within her own reality. More importantly, she treats me with respect, because she knows that respect isn't mandatory. It's a choice. And I'm a different kind of father, too. I love my daughter, but I'm no longer a slave to the love I feel for her. I have boundaries. I have self-respect. I have a life of my own. Our relationship is better now because it's based on mutual respect, not financial dependence. The Petersons still live in their own little world, judging people by their profession and bank account. Marcus and Sarah still go to some family gatherings, but with clear boundaries. And when someone makes a comment about me, Sarah defends me immediately. I still throw parties. Not in a rented mansion, but at my house, with people who want me there. And Sarah is always the guest of honor. The biggest lesson I've learned is that love without respect isn't love. It's manipulation. And family that humiliates you isn't family. They're just people who share your blood. If you're going through something similar, if there's someone in your family who treats you like an ATM but doesn't value you, remember, you have a choice. You can continue being used, or you can stop and demand the respect you deserve. Sometimes people only learn to value you when they realize they could lose you. This year, Sarah and Marcus are organizing Christmas again. But this time, she asked me what I wanted to do. Dad, do you want us to do it at my house or yours? How about we do it together? You cook, I'll pay for the wine. We'll split the responsibilities like a real family does. Perfect. Yesterday, she sent me the guest list for approval. Jessica and family, Tom and his wife, Mike the lawyer, some neighbors, some of my employees who don't have family in the city. 20 people. Simple, hard-working, honest people. People who know that a man's worth is not measured by his diploma, but by his character. At the end of the list, she wrote, Dad, thank you for teaching me that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about people who choose to stay by your side even when it's difficult. I kept that paper in my wallet. It'll stay there forever. If this story reminded you of someone, if you know a Sarah or a Robert, share this story. Sometimes, people need to see the consequences of their choices written in black and white to understand. And if you're Robert in the story, the father, the mother, the child being used and disrespected, remember, you have more power than you imagine. The power to say no. The power to demand respect. The power to choose how you want to be treated. Because ultimately, we teach people how to treat us. And if you accept disrespect, you're teaching them that disrespect is acceptable. I taught Sarah that it wasn't true, and she learned. Now write in the comments, I will never be used again. Write it to yourself to remind yourself that you are worth more than that. And if you enjoy stories about family justice, subscribe to the channel. There's much more to come. Because life is too short to waste on people who don't know your worth. And arrogance, my friends, has an expiration date. And speaking of children who forget who raised them, you won't believe what happened to David, a father who discovered in the worst possible way that his son was ashamed of the home he grew up in. When the boy excluded him from Christmas because of his daughter-in-law's family's social status, David made a decision that left everyone speechless. If you thought my revenge was harsh, wait until you see what this father did. Click on the video that's appearing on the screen now. You'll be impressed by the level of this turnaround.